Hello everyone, it's Theme Park Avenue. I'm Eric, back with another theme park battle. Today I'm comparing the big Cedar Fair, Ohio parks, Cedar Point versus Kings Island. Coaster Studios actually did this matchup about 5 years ago, and I saw a lot of comments on the video complaining about the matchups, so I thought I'd change a few of them up and see how it compared. And with Steel Vengeance, Mystic Timbers, and Orion coming out, I think it's time for this matchup to get an update. As usual, we will start off with the B&M Inverts, Raptor versus Banshee. I went on Raptor pretty recently, and I thought the first half was really intense and awesome. The second half was a little weaker overall, but still very good. And it's a great B&M invert, but Banshee is my personal favorite invert, with its incredible layout, really great intensity, fantastic elements, so Kings Island earns the first point. Now for the Inverted Boomerang coasters, Wicked Twisters and Impulse by Intamin, and Invertigo is a Vekoma and Vertigo model. Wicked Twister is much more fun, it's taller, it's faster, the launch is intense. I like Invertigo a lot actually, I think it's a fun ride. Some don't like Wicked Twister that much, but I think it's great. Now for the Woodstock Express coasters. Both are kids coasters and are pretty small and named Woodstock Express, so I thought they're similar enough. And while I think the junior coaster at Cedar Point is actually really good, and one of the best junior coasters out there, Woodstock Express has one or two good moments of airtime, despite being a kiddie Woody coaster, so I think I will give Kings Island the point. Now for the Aero Suspended coasters. Iron Dragon is, in my opinion, the weakest of these. The Bat at Kings Island is pretty intense and actually a really good suspended coaster, so I'll give them the point. Next up is the wooden coasters, Blue Streak versus the Beast. This matchup may seem weird, but a lot of people complained about Woodstock Express going against Blue Streak in Coaster Studios video. And both of these rides actually get fairly similar reception, where some think Blue Streak is great, and some people really don't like the Beast. For me personally, Blue Streak definitely has better airtime, and that's important, so of course, this matchup is not completely one-sided. That said, the Beast, despite being kind of, bland layout with a lot of straight track, I think it's more intense, and because it's a lot faster, it has some really good parts to it. So while I think the Beast is better, this is a much closer match than some of you might think. Next up is Aero Mine Trains. I love Cedar Creek Mine Ride. It is intense, a good ride, and the terrain around it and the lake is nice. But Adventure Express has really great theming and honestly a really intense first half. So I will be giving Adventure Express the point. And now we have the racing coasters, Gemini versus the Racer. Some will say Racer is better, such as Coaster Studios, for its airtime. But for me, the racing elements are a lot more fun on Gemini. And the slow turnarounds where you get to high five make it a really great ride. The layout is far more unique and significantly superior to the Racer overall, so I definitely think Gemini's better. Now for the two smallest coasters, the Kiddie Coasters. Wilderness Run is a pretty small ride, but so is Great Pumpkin Coaster. And Wilderness Run is much better theming overall with its terrain, and I think it's just a much better done ride. So overall, Wilderness Run gets the point. Now we have launch coasters, Maverick and Flight of Fear. Flight of Fear is actually a very good ride. I like the Spaghetti Bowl models, and the darkness element definitely makes it a fun GP ride. I think it's a very good one, but of course, Maverick is amazing. The restraints always kill me for some reason, but the layout is fantastic and the intensity is amazing, so definitely Maverick earns this point. Moving on to another pretty big matchup, Magnum XL 200 versus Diamondback, the big hypercoasters. And I know some really like Magnum, but for me, Diamondback is the best B&M Hyper and one of my favorite coasters out there. The airtime is fantastic, I think it's really intense, has a really strong layout, perfectly smooth. I hear some people complain about a rattle, but I had no issues with it. And while Magnum is still a pretty good ride, I definitely noticed a few bumps when I rode it last, so I definitely think Diamondback is the better ride. Next up is the Giga Coasters. Of course, both of these are great rides. Orion is the newest at Kings Island. It has some pretty good theming, and there's some good elements, strong airtime moments at points. That said, Millennium Force just has a bigger layout with a lot more to it, and though many will disagree, I think Millennium Force is a really intense ride. The big, large helix type element where you go around the frontier area actually really got some good G's on me. And both of the airtime hills seem really effective to me. I know some people don't think Millennium Force is all that great, but it is still my third favorite roller coaster. And while you may disagree, I'm giving Millennium Force the point. And now for the other great coasters. I'd call this best coasters in the park, though some might disagree. Steel Vengeance versus Mystic Timbers. And of course, Mystic Timbers is a great ride. Fantastic airtime, it's a GCI, so you can't really go wrong. It has a good layout, interesting theming at the end. It's a really great world-class roller coaster. But Steel Vengeance is widely considered the best roller coaster in the world. And I would agree with that, so Cedar Point gets the final roller coaster matchup points. Now for extra coasters. There are two that did not have matchups on Kings Island. These are Backlot Stunt Coaster and Flying Ace Aerial Chase. Cedar Point has 5. These are Rougarou, Valravn, Gatekeeper, Top Dual Dragster, and Corkscrew. Quick note, because Vortex is closed, it will not be in a matchup. I know it'll get replaced with a new roller coaster soon, but for now, Kings Island only has 2 extra coasters, and there will be no matchup between the Aero Loopers. Now we are out of roller coasters onto Drop Towers. I think Power Tower is a very fun ride. You can kind of choose your thrill. It's very good, but Drop Tower at Kings Island is taller, faster, and more thrilling. Now for flat rides. Both parks get a point for their Wind Seeker and their Husk Frisbee, but Cedar Point also gets a point for Skyhawk, a fantastic flat ride, and I think it definitely deserves its own point. Now I'm going to mention the Zamperla Disk'os. It's something I wasn't even sure where to put it because they're not really roller coasters. There's Surf Dog at Kings Island and Pipe Scream at Cedar Point. I'm going to give both 1 point because they are the same ride, and because some consider them roller coasters, I thought they deserved to have a category, but I didn't put them with the roller coasters because they're really not. Now for dark rides. Cedar Point does not have one. I really think they should get a well-themed dark ride there, but for now, Kings Island will be getting a point for having a Boo Blasters on Boo Hill shooting ride. Now for water rides. Both of these parks have water rides. Specifically, each one has a log flume type ride and a rapids ride. These are Thunder Canyon, Snake River Falls, Congo Falls, and Whitewater Canyon. So each park earns 2 points. Now to see which park has more rides overall, excluding roller coasters. Cedar Point is well known for having the most rides in the world, so they earn a point for this. Now for a very interesting category, shows. Because of 2020 shows not really being a big thing, it was hard for me to find a whole lot of information on what shows are good at Kings Island and Cedar Point. I've seen a few at Cedar Point, none at Kings Island. It really isn't fair for me to judge because I just don't know how good Kings Island shows are. So for now, I'll give both parks a point. But please let me know in the comments below which one deserves the point for shows. And now on to food. Of course, Kings Island has good food. Grater's ice cream is quite well known. But I think Cedar Point's food is fantastic. Chickies and Pete's is a chain there, and it's one of my favorites. I go there every time. There's also good places like the new Backbeat Q. Some really great food here. Coaster Studios complained that there weren't enough apples, but I think that's kind of an interesting complaint to have, because Cedar Point's food is fantastic overall. On to park appearance. Both parks are actually very beautiful. Kings Island has great landscaping and a nice location with terrain, and the Orion area, Area 51, has some really good theming. However, Cedar Point is on a peninsula, on the beach, really beautiful setting. The skyline of roller coasters looks fantastic, and the frontier area is very well themed. So Cedar Point wins. Now for the layouts. As you can see on these maps, both have very good ones. Kings Island is pretty easy to get around, plenty of different paths to get from coaster to coaster. There is a little bit of separation with Banshee from kind of the other rides, but that said, Cedar Point's layout is one of the best in the world. There are so many different paths to get to roller coasters. There's like a secret sort of back way to get from Steel Vengeance to Millennium Force easily. It's really easy to get around, and it's really well done given its size, and I think it has an absolutely fantastic layout, so it earns the points. For the operating season, both parks have very similar opening times, excluding coronavirus, so they both earn a point. On to prices, a bit of a weird one to look at because of COVID, but Kings Island is definitely the cheaper park, so they will be earning the points. That said, Cedar Point's Gold Pass has a very good deal for the 2020 year because you're now able to go in 2021 with it as well. I don't know how Kings Island worked, but I know Cedar Point had a very good deal on that. Even so, Kings Island wins. Our final category is operations. Kings Island has some great operations. You can get on Banshee really fast, Mystic Timbers is really well run. Plenty of the rides are well run. That said, Cedar Points are also some of the best in the world. The B&M coasters are fantastic, and honestly, even Millennium Force and Steel Vengeance really impressed me. Both parks run 3 trains on many of the rides, and I think while both are fantastic, I'll be giving Cedar Point the final point. And that means Cedar Point wins by a staggering 8 points. I love both of these parks, but Cedar Point, in my opinion, is the absolute best in the world. I know some will be upset that Kings Island lost, but I simply think Cedar Point is better overall, in roller coaster collection and many other aspects. Please don't think Kings Island is a bad park or that it lost because it's bad, but Cedar Point I think is overall better. I love both, but Cedar Point earned its win. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Comment down below your thoughts. I hope none of you are mad that Kings Island lost. Keep in mind, it's not like an objective list. It really is a personal opinion thing. Even so, I think Kings Island is a really great park. They're both fantastic. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to help support the channel. I'll see you next time.